Hey, we've come such a long way. We were just singing before the video came on. Do it. Do the thing you were singing.
Do it, do it, do
yeah.
it, do it.
So she was singing, right? And I was like, man, you got to finish that up. Because if you sing the lyrics in a YouTube video, they will AI scan our video and claim the lyrics, and we won't be able to put the video up.
Yep.
Which is a thing that happened to us for like 6 months on YouTube.
Yeah.
They were going crazy. And the only reason they stopped is because you, the viewer, kept bitching and complaining. And they thought our app is going to die.
Thank you, by the way.
Right. I've never seen negative comments do so much good work before. Y'all started disliking. That time period also has the most disliked video in YouTube history.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about you guys. You guys really just did not give up until they did what you wanted. And we respect that. All right, here we go. True facts, how species get a name. This is going to be
species.
This is going to be hilarious. I cannot wait for him to lie to me for half the video, not lie to me for the other half, and I'll be too drunk to tell the difference.
Drunk?
Ready? On love.
Oh.
On
I was
life.
like, you've been drinking and you didn't invite me?
No, this is black coffee.
With
no sugar.
ice in it?
A little bit of ice. Drink it with your pinky
What's
up.
wrong with you? All right, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
A while back, I received an email with the subject, "Do you like taxonomy?" I know what you're thinking, spam, or what a sarcastic way for the IRS to start an audit. But no, it was from the curator of mollusks at the Senckenberg Museum.
Okay.
And it said they would be honored to have me on a new advisory board.
What?
Now, they spelled honored with a U, fancy. So I
Right.
said yes. It turns out that this museum is in Frankfurt, Germany, which is very close to the Rhine River Valley, where you can unironically take a fart to Assman's house. The Senckenberg is a top-rate natural history museum, but it is also connected to a serious research institution.
This is such a cool thing to have happen to you.
I have a feeling this is real. I have a sneaking suspicion he's not lying to me. Look at the tiny car. He's really there.
Look at how tall that bathroom is. Made for a German man.
Right.
You could imagine a Frenchman or an Italian being humbled at the threshold of that job. The project that I was asked to advisory to is called the Senckenberg Ocean Species Alliance. Located, with typical German hubris, in a city that's about 600 kilometers from the nearest ocean.
Right.
They will bring the oceans to us. And that's not even a joke. If you've ever been on a beach and had trouble finding a shell, I know where they went. Frankfurt.
Oh my God.
Because they've got a whole bunch of them.
What?
And they're stored in a place that's about as different from their natural habitat as you can get.
What?
It's the Matrix, but for...
This is one of the coolest things I've walked into on accident.
Okay.
They'd store them like we store old books.
Yeah.
The Ocean Species Alliance, which is honored to have me, is focused on naming and describing new species of marine invertebrates. Most likely you haven't come across most of these. They can be a bit shy. You know, they lack spine. It's possibly the nerdiest thing I've ever said. Now, of course, in this room, you're looking at shells and other hard bits, that were left behind. The soft living parts, they're long gone. And you might be thinking, well, that's like studying country music by looking at a collection of Dolly Parton's hats.
Nah.
And you wouldn't be
That's
wrong.
actually fire.
But they have a room for the
Yeah.
soft bits, too. It's the kind of room that looks like what science is supposed to look like. The specimens here are preserved in things like alcohol, which is why most of them look like they've had a rough night out.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
Leave my feet alone.
You can't make me.
Stop it. My toe is injured.
I'm trying to comfort you.
Which is why most of them look like they've had a rough night
God
out.
damn.
The clam's got the tongue sticking out. Since a lot of these liquids are flammable,
What
they've got
sound did they make? What sound did they make?
The clam's got the tongue sticking out. Since a lot of these liquids are flammable, they've got a system to make sure that the room doesn't turn into a bomb. They told me if I set off a fire, I'd have seconds to get out of the room before it was pumped full of argon.
Yeah,
God
I was about to
damn.
say, I love stories like this because all I'm thinking is they are accidentally just making bombs.
Yeah.
You cannot compress these kind of gases without great ventilation or like they have,
Argon. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine too. That's harmful for people, which is why we don't like that. So, you kind of have to choose. They've chosen the specimens.
If you choose to say you're choosing to sacrifice your life.
Yeah.
And there's something noble in that. Or stupid.
Psychotic, but noble
Right.
is fine. Because whatever happened to that library will never happen here.
Apparently one crayon's...
Because it burned down because all the books are flammable and they didn't put argon in there.
Are you talking about the Library of Alexandria?
I might be. What's the other one that just recently burned down?
I don't know about a library, but Notre Dame burned up.
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
No, yep.
And by the looks of it, not only would I die, I'd have to sit there and think about what I did. But not everyone has a spot on those fancy shelves. See this right here?
Just goes
this is
in
where
a
the
fridge.
new species go when they don't have a name yet. Right next to the half-eaten Haagen-Dazs. You see, what happens is science hippies go out on these boats, like this one called the Meteor Hamburger. Well, that's clever. Oh, no, hamburger. Anyway, they drag those boxes there on the deep ocean floor and fill them up with, well, floor dirt.
Right, with shit.
Bring it back up and then play a game of rocks, paper, scissors. In German, it's schnick, schnack, schnuck.
Stupid.
And the loser has to do this. I think that's a pile of schnuck right there. But when they're done, they often find things and they don't know what they are. Bunch of little tiny creatures. Some of them might have dreamed of seeing the world. And then they end up here. And they're going to be here for a while. On average, it takes over a decade before a new species gets its name. I know what you're thinking. Steve, there, just saved you 9 years, 364 days. Irene, there's another one.
Feel free to name whatever you discover the Chiton.
Ooh.
The Chavez.
The Chavez with two Z's.
Yeah.
So it's me.
Yeah.
What about, get this, ChavezzSlovakia. It's got a real ring to it if you don't know.
You gotta put like something sciencey at the
Chiton
end.
and mittens.
Chavezicus.
Ooh, Chavezicus is pretty hard.
Chavezicus Chitonia.
That's sick.
Yeah.
He stabbed people with sharp things. Hell yeah.
No, first you have to describe them and say how you can tell them apart. It's easiest if there's something you can just point to, like an extra pair of limbs or something. Like if I were to describe Henry here, I might start with his mustache. Just laid across his upper lip, like a welcome mat for anyone that might have occasion to exit his nostril. But this is what Henry does. He looks at his tiny little new species. See it right there? No, you can't. It's that tiny. And then he looks for things that you can use to identify it. He's old school, though. The mustache was a giveaway. He draws them to simplify things so you don't get distracted by the detail. You know, if your parents didn't let you go to art school because there was no money in it, be a scientist.
Oh my God.
You can draw. Still no money in it. However, there are some species where this artsy approach doesn't work. Chitons, for example, can be tricky. Now, chitons are a sort of mollusk that nature uses to bedazzle things like rocks and shells.
Okay.
The issue is that two different chiton species will sometimes look identical, even under a microscope. Or within a single species, there's a huge variation in how they're packaged.
Fashion is
Like
sick.
these three are all the same species. Julia here knows a ton about chitons. Chitons, on the other hand, have never heard of her. I know, it's like the definition of a stalker. But in science, they call it foremost expert. Anyway, Julia and her team use this, what looks like a child's DJ booth, to look inside the chitons. It uses penetrating waves. I mean, not like how an alien would probe you. It's like non-invasive.
Man, this is the most aggressive alien abduction in history.
That's what I was thinking when he said that.
Cataloging and storing your family members. You know, if you look at this from that perspective, it's pretty grotesque and horrifying. But I'm fascinated legitimately. There's something wrong with our species.
But also...
What provokes us to do this?
But also, if aliens were to be doing this to us, could we blame them? Right? What if they're learning by example? They've just watched us do this for years.
And they're like, that's a good idea. We're going to adopt that. Oh, wow.
You can look inside to see if there's differences there. Like, for example, their little plates of armor have these networks of sensory pores. But come on, nobody wants their pores looked at this close. Zinger. But if you don't have the coin for one of those fancy machines, there's another option. Sequence the DNA. I know what you're thinking. Oh, that's the boring one. Well, you're wrong. You know why? Because they get to play with the things that jiggle. Not getting into the details here, but the whole thing's basically like an interrogation.
Right.
You get that DNA and grab it by the lapels and shake it. Tell me your secrets, DNA. Then you got to use the pipettes. I mean, that's like Science 101.
Pipettes
when
are
it's
cool.
starting to get soft, you hook it up to the electricity machine. Better talk now, DNA.
Oh, shit.
And then you get something that looks like a complicated version of a COVID test.
Right, that looks like a
Whatever way you do it,
Scantron.
you basically end up with a user.
That's actually literally, yeah. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever done that in school?
Yeah, I went to college.
You let you sequence DNA there?
No.
So you didn't get to do it in high school.
I thought you were talking about freaking using a Scantron.
Hmm.
Of course I got to use a Scantron.
Peasants. They weren't real. They made us think this whole time when we were doing it, they were real DNA sequencing. And at the end, they revealed they were all predetermined little color thingies. But this is basically what we did.
That's so funny.
I was like, I'll strangle you, bitch. I thought I was being a scientist.
species. But before you publish it, you got to give it a name. The one described in this paper, for example, was called Macrostylus metallicola.
Hell yeah.
And that's the standard to use descriptive Latin or Greek, so everyone's equally confused. But this one was actually named after the band Metallica.
Yeah.
They even made a shirt, which I own.
Cool.
There's perks to being on a board.
Right.
But the vast majority of marine species like these don't have a name. And that's a problem, because without a description and a name, a species is very hard to protect from extinction. You can't start a campaign called Save the
Cricket guy.
It's looks like a demon shrimp that just lost his glasses.
Yeah.
You know the one.
You know who he looks like? You know who he looks like? Hopper from A Bug's Life.
Oh, he does.
He looks like Hopper.
Very villainous look to him.
Yeah. Look, see, I got this.
Give me all your
I'm so good at this.
One. So this is why the Ocean Species Alliance is on a mission to name as many species as possible, and then work with conservation groups like the Red List.
That's fucking cool.
It's estimated that over 90% of marine species haven't even been discovered, and things like deep-sea mining can wipe a bunch out before we even find them. If you need a more self-interested reason to care about microscopic marine life, consider that these species are assemblies of molecules that have been honed for hundreds of millions of years. They can synthesize things and break things down in ways that we don't understand yet.
Right.
But understanding how they survive could be the key to how we survive. Hopefully here, on this planet.
Right.
If you're interested in learning more about the Ocean Species Alliance, sign up for their mailing list. I've put the link in the description, like a good advisor would. And maybe, one of these days, you'll get a chance to help name a species. After me.
Nice. I have a feeling that he might not have lied very much in that video.
Right.
But I can't be 100% sure.
You can never know. You know, the science hippies are better than me. Because he said, oh, sometimes they look identical, even from like the outside, but they're different. And bro, if it were me, I'd be like, so you are this thing. Next. Like,
you're the same. You know, which is great because that is how we did most of science for a very long time.
Yeah.
Close enough. Same thing.
Yeah.
And then they were like, actually.
Yeah.
When you cut it open, it's got different bits. And they're like, I don't care.
But then he was like, even under a microscope. And I was like, so then I'm right. So I'm right. That's the same nigga.
Like, it goes as deep as the microscope. Nothing else matters.
You know how, like, the cops will just pull over all white coupes.
I'm about to say, look at a 90-something kind of dungeon. Pull it over. And
they'll be like, we're looking for a white Jaguar.
Right.
Meanwhile, I'm over here in my Ford Fiesta. Like, I don't look like that.
When's the last time somebody gave you a description you believed? Okay, I heard white, I heard coupe. You got a white coupe. Beige something or another. Pull it over, let's check.
I am no better than a cop, apparently.
You're just like, why are you leaving Walmart this late at night? Like, it's 7 o'clock. Yeah, 7 o'clock.
Bad wife. Dinner should have been on the table.
They're judging you. They find things to judge you about. What's up with those split ends? How come we haven't got...
God.
When's the last retwist?
This is fake hair. I don't know what the split ends are about.
I feel real judged. Don't you want my ID?
No, I don't need that.
You don't need that, bro. I've seen enough.
Okay.
I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for hanging out. We're going to do a Casual Geographic video next. Make sure you join us there.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see you.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah, whatever.